Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very special guest and I am honored to have him on. This is a man who is always fresh, never caught lacking, always hitting that pose, suit, on point. We have the white people advocate, Mr. Accountability, Pyrex Flex. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David McLaden. David, how are you doing? It is an honor to have you.
I'm doing well, and it's cool to be here.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. You know what I mean? I love watching your videos, whether it's the niggery behavior that you are against or if it's just being real. You mean, like, even off camera, what I mean is you've said it yourself. As a black man, you've even said, I've lived through this. I'm a real nigga, right? I don't want to see black people not taking accountability. You only want black people to succeed, to strive, to push for better. You don't want them to look at the past, and if they do, what are you learning from it? What, as a black man or as a black woman, are you taking from the past and implementing into now in order to push for the betterment of the black community? So there's a lot of talk recently, and I really want to go into this segue, right? Revise civil rights. What do you mean by that? Because a lot of people feel the civil rights movement, ever since that happened, the black community has gone backwards.
And that, when I say revise the civil rights, I'm saying take it, reel it back. You know what I'm saying? Take it back to, the segregation time. I think, that was the birth of black excellence. You know what I'm saying? When black people had something to strive for instead of, now blacks have been born into, for lack of a better term, with a silver spoon in their mouth of freedom. You know what I'm saying? And they're not handling their freedom well at all. We're like 160 years removed from slavery and 70 years from this 80 years from this Jim Crow, and the descent is like we're unrecognizable. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
So that's what I mean. Like, we need something to strive for, because right now everything's been given to us, and we're acting like spoiled brats. We're acting like spoiled brats. And when somebody says the white man won't let me, I'm like, substitute that for daddy. Daddy won't let us. Daddy won't. You know what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you sound like children, and you're crying about, a parent that's giving you everything, and you still want more.
It's never enough.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong for a child to have ambition, but there's a difference between working for it and earning it rather than complaining about shoulda, woulda, coulda. And that's something that I find really interesting, because I feel like when it comes to black people, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, the House Negro, as Andre Williams would say, you are familiar with the gentleman Andre Williams?
Yes, I know him.
I feel he definitely does a great job explaining it, right? Because you have a black man as yourself, you explain how it is. You don't have a victim mentality or a victim complex, right? You're working hard. You want what's best for you and your family. Living in somewhat like perfect life, not perfect, but the best you can as a provider, as a father, as a protector. And then you have House Negroes. It doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. The black community is still going to be in the situation it's in, unless, because it's one thing to talk about it, but to actually do something about it is what will lead to change, right? Because you'll have Republicans, they'll talk about the issue. Do black Republicans live around black people? Most likely they don't, right?
Yeah.
They probably maybe have a white wife. Most likely don't have the best interactions with the black people. I'd even argue some Republicans don't like other black Americans.
Black Americans don't like
black Americans. Yeah.
They talk a good game. Everybody talks a good game. And it's kind of hard to deal with blacks. It's very hard, and you have to deal with them roughly. You have to deal with them harshly, because if you deal with them too nice, they never stop coming.
Take that as a weakness. No, I agree.
Yes. So and that is, I think people don't really think that President Trump said something about Saddam Hussein, and he said that when Saddam Hussein was removed, that portion of the world went up, and it's been crazy ever since because Saddam Hussein ruled that motherfucker with an iron fist.
Keep that shit in place.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
These are rough people. These are a rough set of people. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is in Africa. These are a rough set of people, and they have to be handled as such. And, you know, we've gotten to the place where it's like, that's inhumane, or that's not, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if you let that criminal element thrive, it will try to overtake you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where we're at. You know what I mean? And then this victim, you know, mentality, which is I'm not 100%. I don't believe it. I know it's some sort of finesse. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to finesse it, you know, guilt trip you, emotional manipulate you out of whatever they're seeking. But yeah, they don't. I don't 100% feel that they really feel that, but they don't understand that it's hurting us more than it's helping us. You know, because you may feel like you're finessing, but your child may just be picking this up. You know what I'm saying? So the next generation is coming out perpetuating this, but they really feel weak. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
You were just trying to play on the emotions of white America, but now you done trained your child to feel handicapped for real.
That he's incapable.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And even so, not only the Republican, but also the Democrat. Like, we've seen this with Kamala Harris, and we've seen this even in the Obama administration. Before the Obama administration came to office, this idea of being black, or not only being black, hey, I'm black like you, but that doesn't mean you relate to me. That doesn't mean that you have the same common interests as I do. That doesn't mean you're on my side. You know what I mean? So this idea of using the Negro for public gain, and I feel like black leaders have somewhat warned black people about that. Because even Malcolm X, I didn't agree with the Nation of Islam or him early in his career, but what I did agree with was black people doing for self, right? So, and that comes into another segue. Niggas and niggers, right? Andre Williams even talked about it. The ignorance in the community. You know who's fucking who won the game last night, but are you aware of what's going on in your community? Or maybe you know what's going on in your community, but you're being a follower because you don't want to have that fear of missing out. You don't want to feel as if you don't belong. And I don't want to say it's a tribalism, because a lot of humans, we don't realize it, we're tribalized, right? But this type of, like, I guess, niggerism that a lot of black people face when it comes to this section of black people, this specific group, because not all black people are like that. But this idea that you have to fit in by dressing a certain way or talking a certain way or to not snitch. And I kind of like how Charleston White put it. He even said it himself, I ain't snitching, I'm telling. I ain't doing 20 years for nobody. And I'm like, all right, I respect that. And another thing with Charleston White, because you know what I mean? You're not doing 20 years for another man. That's fucking gay. You know what I mean? But like, another thing about Charleston that I really liked, he said, I got to talk like the rappers y'all listen to. Now I got y'all attention. When I'm wearing like a suit and bow tie, y'all don't listen. Y'all don't care. And I think the idea or the word cooning or being a coon, I feel like that lost its meaning. A black man could be called a coon for anything. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah.
It's lost its meaning. I've embraced it. I tell them niggas, I'm like, nigga, I'm coon Kong to you. You know what I'm saying? If I'm a coon, I'm coon Kong. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to be the biggest one and push back just as hard as you're pushing towards me. You know what I'm saying? And I like Charleston White. I like Charleston White because he pulled the panties down off of this rap mystique, you know what I'm saying? And he showed them like, hey man, you know, they're not as tough. 6ix9ine did it first. 6ix9ine really did that. You know, Charleston White, you know, took it a bit further.
Step further.
But he really pulled back the curtain and was like, yo, this is smoke and mirrors. You know, people die, of course, but this is a lot of smoke and mirrors, and he's took it to another level. And of course, they're gonna be like, hey, he the police. I ain't fucking with him, but you're still pussy.
No, I
For real.
agree. And it reminded me of an episode I was watching. Was it The Breakfast Club? I forget the gentleman's name. I'm not going to call another man Charlemagne. I will never call another man God. Yeah, I forget. What's his name? What's his actual name? Is his name Leonard? I think his name is Leonard. So what I noticed is there was a Jewish gentleman, Lehor Cohen, right?
Yes.
And we've seen a lot of anti-Semitism rise online. Now, I don't hate Jewish people, but I will point something out. When it comes to people like Stanley Levison, he didn't see Martin Luther King as smart. People have always seen black people as a group to use. And I even made a video saying, as a black man, how do you feel that people feel they can use you and that you're stupid and that you're easy? Doesn't that upset you?
It's
You know what I mean?
it's uh, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's upsetting for me
Yeah.
to be attached to a group of gullible people. And I've said that, but it's true. It's true, and I don't know. Like, it's one thing to say some things while you're around your niggas. You know what I'm saying? But when you get when they able to separate you, now you act like a bitch in a room full of white men. You know what I'm saying? They're able to tell you, push you, do whatever. You're being gay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So
agree. Yeah.
this is why I don't put faith in things that niggas say, because they do a lot of talking. That's why they make good rappers. They do a lot of hard, tough talking, but as soon as they're met with a force, they fold immediately.
Immediately. That's all bark,
And
no
I mean
bite.
immediately. So this is why I don't have any faith in they're acting like they want this race war. They're just antics for online. They're acting like they want this race war, but I know for a fact they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna fold immediately, and it's gonna be, if it ever popped off, it will be so fast because they like sitting ducks. It'll be like what they say, shooting fish in a
In a barrel.
bowl or
Yeah.
yeah, in a barrel. That's what it would be like. So, and I just don't have faith in the tough talk. I wish they would just myself, some others would come together and put together some comprehensive plan. It's not hard, and it doesn't take a lot of people, because these niggas are monkey see, monkey do. So if we're doing anything that's working, they'll gravitate towards it. You know what I mean? So it doesn't take, the Nation of Islam, they did something with black people. They actually did something. They're an isolated group. They pop out here and there, but they really haven't done anything since the Million Man March, for real. That was on a national stage. I don't know what they do.
What they do now, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean.
But that Million Man March was a flex of power at that time, that I can get 1 million people here. That was like the influencer before influencers. The Martin Luther Kings. I despise Martin Luther King, and I despise him.
No, I understand. I mean, he was a homosexual, cheated on his wife. He didn't even believe in the crucifixion of Christ or him coming back.
He was just the biggest sellout of all time. It was at a time. Where that took us down a path. And if there's anybody we should be blaming, it's him.
Yeah.
I look at, like you spoke about, the Jews, the
Stanley
Jewish,
Levison.
not having no hate.
Yeah.
And you can't hate for somebody who will say, to me, they represent a temptation. Like the apple. They present the temptation. It's up to you to take it. And that's their tool, and they use that. If they're using homosexuality, they're pushing goddamn, pedophilia. They're
Yeah.
looking for weaknesses. They're looking for a weakness, and it's ultimately up to you to fall into it. But Jesus was tempted, and on the mount, and he's straight up says, "Yo, this is not yours to give to me, to tell me to bow." You know what I'm saying? So when you fall for that temptation, it's not the tempter's fault. It's your fault. And that's my stance on that, man. We could say, after you don't fall for it, you could say, "Yo, that's an evil motherfucker." But he tried me. But if you fall for it, it was in your heart. You know what I'm saying? So you have to take accountability for that, and not just, after the good feeling is gone and you're looking destitute and you've been discarded, you can't then say, "It's the white man." It's like, nah, bro.
It's deeper than that.
You picked up that crack. You used it. Yeah, they presented it to you. Nobody even presented it to you. They just put it there.
And then you took it, and then hurt other people in your own community.
You partook in it, and not holding yourself accountable. It's a stunning of growth. You know what I'm saying? So you have to hold yourself accountable to grow. If you're holding somebody else accountable, that's a sign of like immaturity. So just to get past that stunt, you have to accept accountability, and try to be better. Yeah.
No, I agree. But I bring up the Jewish question because there was not only Stanley Levison, MLK's Jewish lawyer, he was more the brains behind it. And I noticed today when I talk to a Jewish or black person, it's a victim mentality. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all taught black people that. I feel that's who taught, because it's because I'm Jewish? No, I'm asking, are you Ashkenazi? I'm curious. I'm trying to get to know you. What's your ethnic background? What's your family like? What do you have against Jewish people? Who said I have anything against Jewish people? Or let's say, for example, I wear shorts in public, right? It's cold as shit outside. I shave my head. What do you have against black people? Why'd you cut your hair? Why not? What's wrong with cutting my hair? You know what I mean? Why should my hair be a part of my identity? Now, granted, I can understand people love their hair, but at the same time, it's hair. It's going to fall out. It's going to regrow. I'm going to cut it. So this idea that I have to, in order to not be self-hating, I have to partake and be a follower and think like other black people. Why do you have to be monolith in order to be considered black? Why is it that you're not allowed to think for yourself and be original? I think that's what really hurts the black community. But when I really look back at the episode with Leonard on The Breakfast Club, he was talking to Leor Cohen. This is a man who has a lot of power in the music industry. And I don't agree with Leonard on a lot of things, but I did like how he said, "Don't you think this music is harmful?" And then I really thought about it. The Negro for public gain, it always comes back to that. It always comes back to a Jewish person that knows a guy, that knows a guy, that knows a guy. They always work together. Now, people hate on Jews, but I'll say this. Don't hate the player. You can hate the game. Jewish people, no business. Jewish people only have sex with their own. They don't mix outside. And if they do, a lot of times they cut you off. It's like, nah, it's noticed on the matriarchal side, your Jewish heritage, right? They make sure that child understands money, understands interest, understands trust funds, right? Now, people say pleasure or business. Jewish people have the pleasure of doing business, right? They know where to take advantage of the situation. Now, it's easy to blame Jewish people. Don't get me wrong. Jewish people have used niggers for public gain. Okay, they're going to kill each other anyways. Let's profit. Oy vey, Mordecai. You see this neighborhood, niggas are just killing each other. You know what we have to do? We got to increase the property value, man. These niggas, you can't do business with niggas, man. So with Jews, they know, okay, these customers aren't going to last very long. They're going to fucking kill each other. Okay, this is a dirty neighborhood, man. We need to bring a bunch of Ashkenazis, bring some Sephardics here. And then that's where it changes. Increase the property value. Knowing that black customers don't last long, but a lot of young black youth are influenced by the niggery, influenced by the degeneracy. They know how to take advantage of that culture, sign that 18-year-old, that 21-year-old from the hood. They don't want to be in the hood. They want that money. They don't have to have talent. They just have to be black, dreadhead, smoke weed, talk like they got food in their mouth. And then this so-called music that's listened to today, That's where they make their profit. Now, I don't know Tyga. I don't know. I never met Juice World. I don't know how these guys are personally. Maybe they're cool. Maybe they were cool, the
Yeah.
ones who died. Maybe they're cool people to talk to. But they see black people as that key to make that money, right? And I look at that, and I think people have seen black people as stupid and gullible and easy to use for a long time. I look at every society that has ever enslaved black people, including sub-Saharan societies, right? Sub-Saharans enslaved other sub-Saharans, Arabs enslaved them, North Africans enslaved them, Europeans enslaved them. So I'm like, even certain East Asian groups I think had slaves. Did Japan have slaves? I think so. But I look at that, I'm like, for a long time, the black man has been seen as inferior. I'm not saying the black man is inferior, but I am saying that when will that change? This cannot be the reputation of the black man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
it's a culture of selling out. You know what I'm saying? Even the intelligent, more intelligent blacks use less intelligent blacks. You know what I'm saying? So
get what they want.
Yeah, so it's no matter what, I don't think that's gonna change because you know, these people are very gullible, they're very malleable, you know, you can get them to do whatever. We went from being homophobic to the highest to be identified as homosexuals
or something like that, yeah. And then people will bring up per capita,
you know what I'm saying? So that right there should tell you how malleable we are to
the trend.
Whatever to whatever. You know, it's sickening. You know, to be honest, you know, but I don't think it's gonna change, and they want to blame religion, they want to blame everything, but the only thing that would change for black people, because they need somebody over them. The self-governance of themselves, you know, look at Africa. Out of all the countries, you know, Africa's like, you know, India, Africa, it's fucked up equally in these areas. But even India has these, you know, well, India's fucked up.
Yeah.
India is fucked up. But it's just like Africa is just like,
especially South Africa.
It's a state of turmoil all the time. They haven't been able to, like, you know,
bounce
they
back.
have their little pockets.
No,
yeah,
I
they have their
understand.
little pockets, but they haven't been able to, you know, rise up. And the Chinese have said it's them. You know, the white man's like, it's them.
I saw that documentary. Yeah,
it's like people are saying it's you, and you're saying no, it's everybody. No, motherfucker,
it's you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's you. Of course, you know, the selling out is a major thing, because with every sellout, that sets this back generations.
No, I agree.
It's not just, you're not just setting, you know, you're not just, you know, yeah, fuck them niggas. You're saying fuck a whole 2 generations at least. You know what I'm saying? So that's, it's like, this has gone on for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's like, hey man, y'all got to stop selling each other out. You got to stop, you know, thinking about yourself. The Chinese was in the same position as, you know, Africa. They were very poor.
And then they became a powerhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. Because America, the United States, introduced them to industrial manufacturing. And they took it to this
another level. Yeah.
Now, of course, I always think of this. You know, they counterfeit everything. They counterfeit every fucking thing. And that is kind of like a slap in the face after the United States put them in this position. But I don't think that Africa would have been able to. I don't think that Africa would have done that. I don't think that they would have counterfeited, you know, stole the IP and just did that. I don't think they would have done that. So even though China pulled themselves up with America's help, you know, at the end of the day,
they still put in work.
Yeah, they did. They did like this.
Fuck you.
You know, like, we got what we need, and now we're gonna
We out.
every fucking thing, And I don't think that Africa would have did that. I really think that Africa would have been more,
I guess, loyal in a sense.
yeah. I really think they would have been more loyal. They wouldn't have been stealing like that.
No, I understand, and I do. There's this one gentleman, and I'm afraid because I've always been a admirer of Gaddafi from Libya. He helped his people, right? You had interest-free loans. It was kind of similar to what Hitler did. He tried to give people financial freedom, right? With Gaddafi, oil was cheap, water was free, the nuclear family was strong. That was like one of the biggest things in North Africa, to make sure that the nuclear family empowered you rather than brought you down. I think it is important to talk about how Americans did play into politics and not only hurting the Middle East and hurting North Africa, because Libya was a powerhouse. They were afraid. Israel was afraid of Libya, a Muslim nation that's competitive to the U.S. They didn't want that shit. But what I will say though is I think it goes both ways, because Americans will be like, oh, these fucking sand niggers, man. I'm like, hold up, because these are people too. When our country is allies with one of the most hated countries, and then America feels the need to bomb the shit out of these countries, because obviously they're serving a master at the end of the day. You bomb the shit out of these countries, then you get these angry Middle Easterners and these North Africans. A lot of the Mohammeds and Abduls, they don't like America. And I'm like, all right, let's understand why. Pornography is legal in America. In Muslim countries, they don't agree with pornography. That shit ain't legal there. And I agree with that. I'm not saying I'm Muslim, I'm Christian, but I can look at it from a different perspective and be like, okay, what else do Muslims hate about the West? The unconditional love and support for Israel. Okay, that makes sense. The objectification of women. I agree in the West, I think that's a huge problem. And I like how Andre Williams said it. We live in a time where we have too much freedom, or we confuse things for freedom. I don't like how bikinis are normalized, especially if you're a married woman. Tits and ass cheeks out in public, that's normal. You know what I mean? The navel being shown out. And it really makes me think, I'm like, you know what? There are certain things that Muslims do have right, because even in Christian countries, they believe in veiling and dressing modest. Like, let's say if you're Orthodox, let's say if you're Armenian, let's say if you're Ethiopian. Even in certain parts of Russia or Belarus, you'll see women veil. I'm not saying that's always the case. There are countries where Muslims and Christians don't veil. But I feel like the West is poisoned because they confuse degeneracy for freedom.
You hit this on the head. You're on it. The United States is like a toxic, it's like something toxic, and it's a defense at the same time, but it's also viral. It's also viral. It's a thought, it's an idea, and this infects the United States mindset. This infects, and it'll spread through your country
like a disease.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
So that is our defense, and that it's volatile because it's spilling out, and it's starting to harm us. It's starting to harm the country, but this idea will pull everybody in. It gets your women acting crazy. You know what I'm saying?
The men are tough.
Once you take down the women, you've degraded the society for real. You know what I'm saying? So I understand it. I understand it. It's our strength. It's like a gift and a curse. Our freedom is like a gift and a curse.
At the same time, yeah.
And like Andre said, we're in a time where we're being
we have too much freedom.
We got too much freedom. We have too much freedom, but it's not that we have too much freedom. It's people abusing
it.
The freedoms. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just because you can go outside naked, does that mean you should go outside naked?
Hell no.
No. Yeah. You have the right to do what you want to do, but that doesn't
mean you should.
Yes, have some modesty, have some, some decorum,
Yeah, I agree.
Some class about yourself, so yeah, it's just, yeah, man, it's a sad.
It's a weird time.
That we're in, and it feels like this one guy was like, "Yo, this shit finna explode," and I'm not like a anarchist or warmonger, but I feel like we need a reset.
We do need to hit that reset button. And that's actually perfect into the next two segues I want to go into. Afrocentrists and black interest. We've talked about black interest before, the idea of being monolith, but not every black person thinks that way. But this Afrocentrist trend, I hate it because when I see black people talk about being black and proud, why take credit for cultural achievements you haven't done? When black people say we the real natives, when black people say we the real Egyptians, we the real Arabs, we the real Jews, it's like, then why is society so fucked up? Why are a lot of black communities fucked up? If you guys are all, if white people don't exist, then does that mean black people are the worst on earth? Because again, if they say this small group of black people, this minority, they are saying that white people never did this shit. White people didn't even exist. They lived in caves. They were covered in fur. I'm like, okay, so you guys were the ones who enslaved Africans? You guys are the Egyptians who enslaved Jews? You guys enslaved each other and killed each other and raped each other and genocided each other? How does this shit make sense? You guys genocided the Native Americans? Shit, man, Hitler was black, man. The Klan? Nah, man, we made that shit. And I'm like, what's going on here?
It's just a lot of, to me, again, I don't believe that they really believe
that,
a lot of this stuff. I feel like it's a lot of rage baiting. There's witchcraft. They're trying to, they feel like if they feel like we're under some spell that was cast by Europeans with language and words, they're trying to just cast spells all over the place. Even if it's lies, that's how they're combating against it. No, that's not real. This not real. This not real. But the history is showing, hey,
and
man,
the genetics,
it is real.
Yeah.
Now y'all are going into this mass psychosis that
this
that's
denial,
like
this copium,
right. It's bringing on something that could be detrimental
and harm the
to
identity,
mental health.
Yeah.
Just sowing all this confusion, and now it's like you don't know what's real. That's how the psychosis, like, you can't differentiate fantasy from reality,
and that's scary. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah, because
that's what they're doing, a lot of that, and it's like, what the fuck do this make sense? I had to interview with another guy, and he was just saying a bunch of I let it
slide
go
for
on.
A bit.
Yeah, I let him say a bunch of nonsense, and I shouldn't have, but it was just like, at a time I was like, yo, bro, I'm not here for no damn history. He told us what did Constantine do. It's like, who gives a fuck what Constantine did?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He did a lot of things. Like, come on, bro. And he was like, oh, he don't know. It's like, what are we talking about?
What's the topic? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We give a lot of energy to nonsense. It's too much energy being given to nonsense, and that is like that's a big problem, because we're fucked up, because everything that they get us behind, like Black Lives Matter, that turns out to be a scam, and
using other black people for gain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
not really caring about
those things lower the morale, and it actually makes you lose hope. You know what I'm saying? Because everything you feel, passionate about, it's a fucking scam. We got scammed again, and it's like,
Shucks.
It's time for
yeah,
and that lowers the morale. That makes you feel hopeless. That makes you more more guarded with trusting in a collective. And this is why I just refuse. Like, I despise the Democrat Party. I despise that Black Caucus. These people have siphoned off the energy from the community, and they didn't do anything, and they did that purposefully. You know what I mean? This SPLC and this backdoor KKK stuff is like, I can't forgive that.
No, I understand.
I can't forgive that, because it could be better. We could be in a better position if people actually cared, but they don't actually care, and we have to care for ourselves. And even if it's small groups,
you start small, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe even if it's just small groups, and we just keep it small. Few families come together, do things. Everybody else does it. The Mexicans do it. The Asians do it.
Jews do it.
You know,
Yeah.
the Asians are crazy. You know, the shit that they have going on in the United States, bro. Because everybody feeds off the black community. You know, we talked about the Jews, you know, with the music business, and the Asians with everything.
Arabs with their stores, you know what I mean, in the black community.
Bro,
so yeah,
they're just feeding off of them, and we don't ever say anything. We don't. But if we make it out the hood, another black make it out. It's like, bro,
man, you a sellout, you a coon, you ain't even black like that, man. Yeah,
you ain't giving nothing back. But everybody else, they're not giving anything back.
Yeah. They're building their own,
back. They're just extracting, you know, from the black community. So, you know, that's our fault at the same time, because, you know, we don't shop with one another. We don't patronize.
It's always like getting away from one another and having hatred for one another, and that's something that really breaks my heart. And that's where I really go into the topic of black identity. I ask a black person, because when I feel like a lot of black people project, they say white people don't have a culture. I'm like, okay, what is black culture? Because this black man, I can guarantee you, despises this black man. This black man lives a different life. He'll be considered a sellout for wearing the suit that the white man made. But it's like, hey, this has become international. That suit isn't just white people shit, right?
Right.
Even same thing, for example, is English a white man's language? Yeah, but it's become international.
Right.
You know, so I think it gets to a point where nailing things down to just race, that's what really hurts the black community. The black identity, people should be proud of being black, but if you can't explain what being black is, what are you proud of in the end of the day, right? When we see, like I said, the Afrocentrist, the weebwazzery, it's an issue, a mental illness. A lot of people hopefully don't actually believe in that. But when I see videos on like Instagram of people giving 100,000 likes to, man, we was kangs, we was queens, I'm like, oh Lord, what is this? Then you look at the video, and it's like, why not talk about black accomplishments? Elevator doors created by a black man, right? Moving elevator doors. Even with the first iron board, it was revised and fixed and upgraded by a black woman, right? The first gas mask was created by a black man. So when I see this revisionary, it's like, if you're a black person and if you're truly proud of black inventions and black power and whatnot, you wouldn't be taking credit for other cultural achievements. You'd say, hey, as black Americans, we built this. You should be proud. But what shows me, like the weebwazzery and the Afrocentrists and the niggery, black people, I'm not saying all black people, but that specific group isn't proud of being black, and they will claim to be everything else but being black,
right?
In order to cope. You know what I mean?
I've said, like, you know, it's time, and this is what's so ironic about this. It's time for us to start making history, even though, like, those people did that. You know, in the past, they made those inventions. They did this and they did, you know, the stuff to get us here. We're in the most recorded time in history, and we're acting like buffoons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're in the most recorded, documented time in history, and we are showing our complete ass. You know, and to be, you know, fair, it's not absolutely as bad in the real world as it is on the internet. You know, it's crazy on the internet. You know, and I know some of that, you know, it comes from the real world, but when you go out, you don't see craziness.
Shit, you know, like that. You know what I mean? It's picking and choosing. No, I agree.
Yeah, we don't see that you know, the obnoxiousness so much in real life as we do when we scroll. X is crazy.
That's a different ball game.
X is insane. You know what I'm saying? It just back to back to back to back to back. But yeah, it's like we can't continue living in the past on what our ancestors, you know, our forefathers did. It's time for us to start making history now, you know, and I feel like that's a big fear of this generation, is they know they're not making any history, and they don't have anything to give to the future.
Anything of value? No, I agree.
So we're just along for the ride because the white man is building the future. We've totally opted out of the game, and we're talking about shit that happened 500, 200, 300, 100 years ago. And in this present moment that we're living in, we're done. We're not making real contributions other than entertainment. And that's just
And then the ones that do, like for example, like King Randall when he created X for Boys. I'm not sure if you saw that. He was talking to Roland Martin. What I like about King Randall, not only did he create a company, he's trying to teach young black people or young boys how to have manners, respect, right? How to speak proper, how to look both ways on the street. I like that. It is important to have male role models. I like that. You know what I mean? It is important to bring masculinity back into the black community. It's important for the man to put his foot down and say enough is enough. No black woman that I know is going to act like this. And that's what I really like. I think masculinity is a huge factor. And I feel like women that try to act as men, or women who see men as competition, or women who hate men, a lot of them want validation from other men. But in fact, a lot of black women who are self-hating and gay, what I notice is if you talk to any real black man, I guarantee you 99% of them say, I like real ass, real titties, and real hair, right?
Right.
They don't like insecurity. They don't like the wigs or the glue that could be put in a black woman's hair that could harm the black woman.
Right.
And it's funny because a black woman will lie to another black woman and say, damn girl, you look good, but it's like, no man, you look like a prostitute. You have the cum lashes on. This shit is like this, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Right.
You have the fake hair, you're straightening your hair. And if a black woman or any woman straightens her hair, okay, but do you like your natural hair? You know what I mean? Can you take care of your hair? What's the point? Oh, it's too much work, then why is your hair that long? With that logic, you might as well shave your head bald instead of wasting like 10 grand on your hair. And it's crazy because it's always like the strap-on wigs, the glue-on wigs, and all this other shit. The wigs smell like shit. You know, black men don't like that.
Right.
They don't like how it harms the black woman. Yeah. It's kind of like when a fat white bitch is 300 fucking pounds, 2 pieces of fried chicken from a heart attack, and you have these dumb blonde bitches, the fake blondes and the real blondes, in the comments, oh my God, girl, you look good, slay. And I'm like, oh my God. Because like, and we live in a time, and I don't want to sound like an incel or that I hate women, but like women are liars.
No.
Like, you know? Like,
yeah.
And I'm like,
it's just this echo chamber of, that took us down.
Yeah.
It came from, I'm old enough to know where it actually came from. And it came from black porn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is like black porn that's done came out into the world. Like they're mimicking those porn stars, and Lil Kim, when the rappers, took on these personas and they brought pornography into the music, so it's like audible pornography, and it's just, bro, that took us down. That took us down
so far back.
Yeah, that took us down right there because the women, just kind of like, stamping each other and
betraying each other.
And it might have been fun for a minute, and maybe the real women didn't feel like it was gonna affect them, but now it's affected real women, and now it took them so long to push back, you know what I'm saying, and say hell no. I think they were laughing at men like, yeah, they're giving it to them, so they might have been engaging in that, but then it started to affect real women, you know what I'm saying, and now they're pushing back, so it's so, I'm so glad Kamala did not win the election, and I hope Trump is able to, push towards another one. That's my opinion. I would really like that to happen, but yeah, the women, it's just done spun out of control. And like I said, from before we were recording, it's done the balance. This BBLs, the balance have been so thrown off because these fake BBL women that don't know how to act. Now that they're sought after, you know what I'm saying? because they have this anger inside of them. Like I was saying, that they want to like punish men, and I feel like a lot of that is where the men hate come from. You know, from fake pretty women. That they weren't born like that. You know, so that shit fucked up everything, and I feel like the fat white liberal chicks, you know, they're acting like black women. When I started seeing them doing that against ICE, I was like, they're acting like black women in the civil rights era. You know, this is their moment, and this is, you know, I feel like they learned how to protest from blacks. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just all this mimic, and then I see black men, the black collective, acting like Jim Crow white people. You know what I'm saying? I seen one black dude talking about the only good crackers are dead cracker. You know what I'm saying? It's like, a white man said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all just like trading places, and it's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the white man freed you niggas. You know what I'm saying? They said, yo, it's enough. And they were willing to fight and die. Because other white men didn't want you free. So, you know, this is the only country that did that. You know, and then it was a domino effect, and then, you know, they did it, you know, across Europe and whatever, you know, wherever, you know, it's abolished slavery. But they did that, and I do not believe, if the shoe was on the other foot, if black people would have ever let the foot up off of their neck. You know what I'm saying? If it was on this, you know, we established this, we don't put these white people in slavery. I just don't believe that they would have done that. But they did, you know. So you have to give them credit for that. You have to give them credit for that. You know, it's like correcting a wrong. Okay, we did it. It happened. Enough is enough. Let them free. And, you know, the society had to get a little liberal, you know, because, you know, they had to come down off of, hey, boy, you know, you was just a slave. It's understandable. If somebody don't want to let that go, but eventually
it gets to a point.
It go.
Yeah.
Eventually they let it go, and now you looking at it as equal. And now that you're looking at it as equal, you want to be like tripping about some shit that you didn't even go through. You know what I'm saying?
And don't know much about either. They don't talk about how even certain slave ships were owned by Jews. You know, I mean, there were even Jewish people that owned plantations. You know what I mean? And even like when they were selling slaves and auctioned on the Sabbath, it was so thoroughly Jewish when they were auctioning slaves. On the Sabbath, they didn't sell them. You know, they didn't auction them. But it's multiple things. Yeah, there were white people that did evil shit, Jews that did evil shit, black people, white people, Asians. I mean, like in every society's done evil things. Yeah.
Right.
This idea that a race is evil is just sad. You know.
Right. It's like to think that Africans sold other Africans into slavery. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yeah, we want that tea, them spices, that mirror,
that gold, them weapons. Yeah.
Take these niggas. You can have these.
We don't like them. They're just prisoners of war, anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was a way of life that the world has evolved. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let the world evolve. Stop holding on to that past like that, because like how you gonna
improve?
Like leave it there. It happened. A lot of shit happened. The world was brutal.
Yeah.
And we talking 14, 15, 1600s, bro. It was a brutal fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, man, let the shit go. You know? Yeah, man.
No, it's like, and even when people talk about re-immigration in Europe, they're like, "Oh, white people deserve this." I'm like, "Have you met the Mongolians? I mean, they conquered a lot of countries: Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, parts of Pakistan, Russia, Moldova, Ukraine. The list keeps going: Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan." And it's like, should all these countries just immigrate into Mongolia and then clear out the population? Like this idea that a race is evil. I'm like, man, Asians, Europeans, Sub-Saharan Africans even killed other Sub-Saharans. The Arab world, a lot of these Arabs aren't really Arab. You know what I mean? The North Africans, they were taken over uh, in the Arab conquest. These people were Amazigh and don't even know that. You know, a lot of them
Yeah.
speak Arabic. They're like, "Oh, I'm Arab." I'm like, "Nah, man, you're North African." You know what I mean?
What are you?
I'm mixed. My dad is white. My mom's majority black. She would be more like a Malcolm X type of mixture, 75% black, 25% white. She was born in Grenada. I think Malcolm X had had ancestors from Grenada, from what I remember. Matriarchal. Was it his mother's side? I could be wrong.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I just know that one of his someone from his family came from the Caribbean. Um, but yeah, my mom would have the same, I guess in terms of stats, amount of or ratio, amount of blackness as Malcolm X. I think in terms of
Yeah.
sub-Saharan African ancestry. Yeah, she'd be a quarter white. He would be a quarter white. So yeah. It's really weird
Yeah.
because a lot of people think I'm like Brazilian or Dominican, and I guess I look like a fuck boy. You know what I mean? Like I have,
I thought
yeah.
like you have a Ethiopian Arab. You know what I'm
Like
saying? But a
Sudanese, East
mix.
African look. No, I see
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people always ask if I'm Moroccan or Egyptian. I've gone Ethiopian a
That,
few
that,
times. Yeah,
yeah. That's with that
Like-
Egyptian.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Like the Coptic, North African, East
Yeah.
African, somewhat look. I always get Northeast, North, or sometimes East. I
Yeah.
get Dominican and Brazilian a lot though. That's where a lot of people they look at me and they're like, "Oh, are you Brazilian?" And the thing is, my name's Dylan, right? So people they see mixed guy Dylan, they assume I'm a womanizer. I understand why. You know what I mean? Like a lot light skins, we don't have the best reputation. Well, I'm like a light brown skin, but we don't have the best reputation when it comes to treating women right. A lot of us are very feminine, a lot of sass. That's also something that needs to be fixed. At
Yeah.
least with darker skinned black men, they're more masculine. You know, I feel like we're just fags. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know. We're either assholes,
I don't know
womanizers, or
because I was looking at something earlier, either today or yesterday, and it was like, yo, the dark skinned guys have gone gay. You know what I'm saying? They got Lil Nas X, got this Santana motherfucker.
that it's like
you know,
Atlanta type of scene.
these are
Yeah.
dark skinned black guys, you know what I'm saying, that are acting, you know, gay.
In the dress
You
and
know?
shit. No, I know what you mean. I don't know. I feel like when it comes to masculine looking men, like let's say for example, right? You're in good shape, right? You got clear skin. You're well spoken. Like when it comes to darker skinned men, they have more of a solid build like you. But when it comes to like, I guess people like me, we're more twink looking, if that makes sense. Like you guys look the part. At least you guys look masculine. We're just assholes. I don't know what it is
I,
about
I
like
always, I always said, I always said this. I said, you know, a light skinned guy is like, you know, a dude wearing girl clothes.
I mean,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
You're not wrong.
light skin is like
Yeah.
for girls. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, in my opinion, you know, I never liked Drake. You know, so
Mm.
that was my thing on him. I couldn't stand Drake for no reason. I'd have no reason to not like Drake,
Mm.
but you know, I just didn't like him.
He's just got that zest.
like
I don't
him.
know, something about him.
Yeah, I like him more now.
Yeah.
I like him more now because I seen after this Kendrick thing. I like him more now because I seen him withstand. So I feel like he actually went through something.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't look at him as somebody who went through anything, but he actually went through some and withstood it. And that you know garnered a little respect from me for him. You know, because that took a lot. That's the reason why I always loved President Trump from the beginning. I loved him like, you know, before. We all loved Trump. You know, he was like the golden boy of America. But in 2016, you know, I was like, hey, why are they pushing so hard against Trump, you know what I'm saying? And then this recent election, it was like Trump withstood so much shit. So I'm a loyalist. I don't give a fuck what he does at this point, because he withstood so much shit that would have broken 99.99% of men, you know. And for that, you know, just the tenacity and just his will, you know, not to be broken. Like, they dropped the world on this man's head. You know, I always say, like, if no weapon formed against me shall prosper was a person, it's him. You know, because nothing did. So I know that whatever God's will is, it got something to do with President Trump. You know what I'm saying? Because he's there. You know, I know a lot of people don't agree with, you know, certain things, but him being there is for a reason. You know,
I understand. Things fall into place. Because the thing is, in 2016, I understood why Trump had a lot of influence. People look at Trump, they say, okay, he's the asshole, the merc with the mouth, right? Kind of like a Deadpool-like character. When I look at Trump and his policies and why people liked him, I'd say for a conservative, he was more progressive. And I think that's why people liked him in a sense, because conservatives were defending what we did in Iraq for years. Conservatives were talking about like what we did in Libya was justified. And he even said it himself, look at Libya. Look at Gaddafi. We shouldn't have got involved in that. Look at Hussein. He had the Middle East in place. It was a powerhouse. We shouldn't have gotten involved. So I think that's why liberals even became, I guess, MAGA. Because there were liberals who were like, actually, Trump's making sense. And then I think now where MAGA kind of, I guess, lost its place, people liked Trump because they saw him and they saw America first. But now with this whole anti-Semitism, the ADF, the Anti-Semitism Defense League, what I don't like about Trump, because here's my opinion. I don't hate the guy. I don't like the guy. I don't know the guy, right, outside of politics. He could be a cool guy. Same thing with Biden or Kamala. I don't know what these people are like. Out of the political landscape. But I can say this. He says things people don't like. Could you argue there's truth to what he says? Sure. You know what I mean? The fact that people don't want to hear it, there could be truth to something he says. But I didn't like the loyalty to Israel. But then again, every president is loyal to Israel, regardless of Democrat, Republican. People hate on Trump, but if you hate on Trump for what he's done with Iran, what about what Obama did with Libya, right? With Yemen, with Syria, with Iraq? You know, if you're going to criticize the left or criticize the right, you should look at both stances. You should look at the flaws of both, not just target one, right? When people say first black president, okay, what did Obama actually do for black people? What did Trump actually do for black people? Because if you're a black man and if you look at the landscape, if you look at the stats, as a black man, where do you thrive more? In a red state or a blue state? As a black man, how does his policies help you? And don't get me wrong, there are things he could do I could disagree with. There are things Obama can do that I disagree with. But I feel like people just love jumping on the, hey, I don't like this guy bandwagon. Why do you not like him? What are reasons for why you don't like him?
Right.
I didn't like how we got involved with Iran, but I think Kamala would have done the same thing. And the reason why, she called Trump a coward for not having a war with Iran. And then he had war with Iran. Charlie Kirk didn't agree with Trump on certain things.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with, him on
everything.
Yeah. But I'm just,
You're a loyalist, and you've liked what you've seen.
I'm a loyalist. Yeah. I'm a loyalist in that sense, because it's like God. I'm a devout follower of Christ. I just believe in that sense that God put him through that, did not allow him to be wavered, did not allow him to be deterred. That break that they thought they stole that election from him, that was needed. You know what I'm saying? Because when he came back with a vengeance. He came back with a plan. I started thinking that, this is AI somewhere in this. You know what I'm saying? Because he just started coming. He knew exactly what he wanted to do from the jump. So I feel like they know the outcome of things because they done did some simulations and, whatever. because he came with force, and it just sent everybody spinning. Like, what is he gonna do next? Nobody knew, and he needed that 4-year break to put this shit together. And shit, here he is. And I hope that we see Obama. I really pray that we see Obama go to jail, bro. I know we're not talking about it anymore like that, but I hope that he has to go to jail for treason. I hope we see some people go to jail for treason, because they tried to, it was a coup for real. He stopped, like, you couldn't even deal with Trump, because that was like, that could end your career. At a time when the Democratic Party had its stronghold, dealing with him, so for him to win people over, and now, they're 100% behind him, that was a feat. And I know you said, like, we don't know these people, outside of political. We know Trump. That's why I could not believe, like, people was like, he's racist. He's been in the public eye his entire life. So we know him better than we know any other president.
Even when he was a Democrat too, didn't he stick up for MJ and Mike Tyson?
Right.
Like, he's always been a loyalist. That's something I did respect early in his career too.
Right.
Yeah. And then when people, I think the whole he's racist. We see the right and left do this, right? For example, with Whoopi Goldberg, when she was dating this white dude, he did blackface and said the hard R. And I thought it was really funny, because it's this game of he's racist, he's a Nazi. We've seen this on both the right and the left. It's always like trying to prove which side is more racist in order to get votes. And that's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of child's play. Like, I know you like Trump, you're a loyalist. The one thing I didn't like, there are a few things I disagreed with in debates. I feel like Trump made it more of a roast session, right? I miss, like, old debates when president, you know what I mean? Presidential candidates. Like, it's funny when he's calling an old guy retarded, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, I want people to shake hands and talk about policies rather than coming to a family roast, if that makes sense. Like, when you look at JFK shaking opponent with this, well, Mr. President, I have to disagree with you here. Here are the stats. Well, Mr. President, when it comes to housing, well, sir, I like what you said there, but I'd have to politely decline, or politely, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at old videos, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 2000s, when Obama and Romney shook hands. Yeah, continue, sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like, at the time that Trump is here, it was needed, because we were asleep at the wheel as a country. Nobody was even giving concern to politics. So this is stuff that's going on, and the public is not really even in tune to what's going on. That's how this shit got so off whack. You know what I'm saying? They come every 2 years or every 4 years, and they get us to going, and then we don't know what the hell else they doing. You know what I'm saying? The average person. So us going into another generation with what we're going into, like Gen X, and that's gonna replace these people. Him bringing the public back into the spectrum. Making a spectacle of this, making it interesting, making it like, hell, hold on, what the hell are they talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like a civics class for the world. We're leaving this to us. This country is being passed down to us, and now it's motherfuckers who can't even read.
And it's really sad to see. You know what I mean? Generation Alpha. Like,
what are we leaving this to? You know what I'm saying? Who are we leaving this to? Somebody has to run this shit, and y'all have to fight for y'all freedoms. He said something like, Christians got to get in the game, because if y'all don't get in the game, then it's game over. You know what I'm saying? So, him bringing eyes back to the political arena, and being, however how he did it, could be, argued, but, just added part of entertainment, with some education brought into this, because we needed that, bro. We were almost out of here. The Democratic Party is totally corrupt. It was totally corrupt. So, and that's the path that we was going, and this is the reason why most countries failed. Like the United States wasn't an innately corrupt country. They did things, but it wasn't a corrupt country. When corruption started setting in, when these politicians started getting rich off of their office, that's when,
APAC
we
and
just
everything.
started,
Yeah.
we just started going down. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're putting money over country, and when it was like Mr. President like that, it wasn't money over country. It was
The
country.
people first. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he did what he had to do, and I see things and how I see things. A lot of black people, especially like on this level, a lot of black people don't have foresight. They don't know how to. They know what's right in front of them. They're not. Black people are not like retarded as they act. That's a act. Acting retarded is a fucking act. Because they know how to maneuver, but for some reason they just love to act fucking like they're slow, and they might be they're slow. They're slow. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are slow, but they're not slow as they act because they act really ignorant. To the point where you can't even talk to them.
Yeah, it's more of lack of respect for self. No, I agree. And even like when people say black people may vote liberal, but I'd argue a lot of them are more conservative than they realize. And I think that's something that I've talked about. Even one of my friends, I said, man, when you talk to a black person, maybe black women may push for the trend and be with the shaking ass, yada, yada, yada. But a black man's like, shit, nigga, you gay. What you mean? LGBT what? It's more, people always say white people shit. And the reason why I say that, white women are huge. Oh, I'm not racist. Oh, I love everybody. Oh, I feel the need to prove myself. I think it's like this cuckoldry that white people have. And black women are always like jumping on what's hot, I feel. And I think that that's what politicians love to take advantage of, right? The youth, the white guilt, the, hey, I'm black, therefore I got to stick up for the oppressed group, even if the oppressed group isn't really oppressed. It's just, portraying an image for political gain. Because there were policies, I was talking about it, and I've said a few controversial things. I do want SNAP and WIC to be completely dismantled and for a new system to be created. I hate when I see, like, when a black man, the boring guy, right? The black man who actually respects the black woman. Let's say a black woman has numerous partners, has sex with different men, doesn't know who the baby is. I would make the law so I don't want a black man, or any man, not just black men, but I know this a lot in the black community. A black man shouldn't take care of a woman's child if he doesn't even know what partners she had sex with in that time. What if you take care of a child that isn't yours? So let's say if I was in charge, if I was the dictator, right? You cannot have stamps or certain government assistance if that child does not have a paternity test. I'd make it mandatory. I'm sick of men, especially in the black community. It hurts spending time with an ungrateful bitch that uses him for money. And I hate this concept of the black woman, not every black woman, right? But like the black woman being married to the government, having a bunch of kids to get that government assistance. I want nuclear families. If you're a newlywed couple and you're struggling, you should get benefits. That I'm not against. If you're a victim of rape, you should get benefits. If you are lying and you know who the father is or you don't know who the father is, but you're in contact with the men you had sex with, each and every single one of them have to get a paternity test. Because I could not allow men to take care of children that aren't theirs. I'm sick of this, the boring guy. No, that boring guy will treat you with love and respect and take care of kids that the father doesn't give a shit about. So, and that's the thing, like, I'm really hard on that, and I'm for black men not being manipulated, because I hate the manipulation. I hate the condescending aspect of the black community. I hate the brokenness, right? I'd have certain curfews enlisted. I'd get the U.S. military involved. Make sure kids aren't getting involved in gangs. Making sure that abortion centers, rather than trying to go after abortion itself, because I don't agree with abortion, however, we have to prevent abortion from happening, and to prevent that from happening, we need to prevent sex out of wedlock and make sure there's love in the family again, right? So, because it's one thing people say, oh, abortion, oh, don't abort the child, but who's going to help this woman take care of the child? Will that child be under emotional distress, be emotionally unstable, emotionally abused? How will they grow up? So I feel people focus on the right things but the wrong things at the same time. If you really want to like nip it in the butt and get at the source, no more being married to the government. No more taking care of a man, having a man take care of a kid that isn't his. No more having multiple partners. People must take accountability. Accountability must be the number one thing if we really want
Right.
people to heal.
That is the number one thing.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. You know, my if I was, in charge, it would be simpler, because I know that the main thing is giving younger people skills. Getting them skills. Like, we have to get them skills. Some sort of
trade, business,
some sort of,
whether it's plumbing,
trade. So
electrician.
if you want to get technical, because we're in this AI age, at least being able to, use this AI. But, at this point, what's so crazy, and I'm going to get back to this, what's so crazy is at a time where you can just give prompts, now people can't read. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have the words, you can't even prompt. You can't even prompt on, intricately. You know what I'm saying? So, that's sad, right, at this point. But I would, try to get the youth as fast as possible, middle school in some sort of skilled trade. And I would catch them on the back end, because it's going to be like a group of, youth that we're going to miss because, they're out there. I would catch them on the back end if they, coming out of prison or something, you know what I'm saying? And get them like that. So, and once they have a skill,
That's what they could conquer.
yes, once they have a skill, like, we have to force them to get a skill, because a lot of this is, because of unskilled, they need money. So they need a way to make money, and once they make money and it's consistent money, they wouldn't even be choosing, the bullshit. I believe that.
No, I agree, and I definitely do want women who have manipulated men into taking care of kids that aren't theirs. They should be in prison for 30 years. That's how I feel. People get angry when I say it, but I'm like, look, man, if we want accountability, women also got to face the accountability too. You want to be a man, you got to take the punishment of a man. You got to serve time like a man. All right. So this idea of like equality, it's like, I'll give you gender equality. But yeah, I think we have too much. we have too much equality and not enough quality. And I really want people to properly get punished for crimes that are committed, whether it's accusations of rape or accusing someone of abuse. I will make sure men and women would be punished so that examples are made of people. Oh shit, he's serious about this. So I'd really like, man, because like if I have decent policies, but I probably get shot. But yeah, like I look at this and I'm like, there's so many things that could be put in place to help. But I feel if these programs aren't being used to leash, I think certain amount of work should be done. Make sure this person has a job. Make sure that they're set. Prioritize health. Health is wealth, literally.
They're kind of like, what I'm saying, RFK. He done put these things. He done did some of that stuff. Like the food stamps don't get sodas and tater chips and shit.
No, I agree, but the issue is people still take advantage of the system. You'll still see a Shaniqua bragging about Louis Vuitton bags and a nice Benz, right? And it's not just the black community, but people are still frauding. People talk about Somalis. Okay, you can talk about Somalis and black people, but what about the Sephardic Jews that live in my state who are having multiple babies that they can't afford to take care of and they're on benefits? No, I don't agree with that either. It's one thing, okay, the right can talk about black people, But even the right and the left, they won't talk about Jewish communities that are definitely having sex out of wedlock and having more kids than they can afford to take care of. And I hate that Randy Fine has this victim complex. I don't mind if a Jewish person has stamps or if a black person has stamps, but are you qualified for it? Are you again, is your woman, not only the woman, but is the man and the woman married to the government after having 10 to 12 kids? Because we know Jewish people have a lot of babies. You know what I'm saying? Especially the Sephardic communities, even Hasidic Jews, regardless of their ethnic Jewish background or religious Jewish background. I can tell you, New York and New Jersey, they have a lot of fucking kids. A lot of these areas, even in upstate, you'll have Jewish communities have a lot of children that they honestly shouldn't even be having that much. The fact that they're having more than 5 is insane, in my opinion. But hey, I mean, you want that bloodline to keep going. You know what I mean?
Right.
They have the pleasure of doing business. Family, they keep it tight. Family is the most important part of business.
That's the
you're
most
training,
that's
you're
the
molding
most
them.
important.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
I mean,
that's
yeah.
That's it. I spoke on that briefly as when blacks, like, they gave them loans and stuff. No, them people came over here married. You know what I'm saying? And you know, even if they did start a business, they didn't waste money in getting material things. They poured it back into their business, sent their kids to college, bought their property,
had many kids, and then they take over the family business. And that's the thing.
Yeah, like they did that. We do too much extra shit.
Black business, black owned. I'm like, okay, but what are you doing for me? Right? What about this business is different from a white man's business or a Jewish person's business or an Asian business? You could be a black business, but is your black business efficient? Is your black business, just because you're black, you should support me? Or do you have a product that piques my interest, right? Because I don't like the concept of family businesses because let's say someone dies, it's not the same. But however, if you orchestrate it to the way, like let's say, for example, when Sephardic Jews have a lot of kids, they have 10 kids, right? That family isn't going away anytime soon. There's many of them, and they're going to have many descendants. So if this one dies, hey, it sucks that Mordecai's dead, right? But we have Ezra.
Yeah.
It still feels like family. Nothing is missing. Yeah.
He's the great shoe, a great shoe fixer.
Yeah, literally. But
hey, man. Yeah,
that's
man. We got to get back. We talk all this shit. You know, blacks talk all this generational wealth shit. It's like, hey, man, it's got to be more than just talk, bro.
What are we doing?
Because the families make generational wealth. Not a single mom and her one fucking child. You know, maybe 2. You know, because now the black women are getting more. You know, they're not trying to have kids like that. You know, they're aborting kids like that. So where the hell is generational wealth gonna come in if you got one child, you don't want to have no more, and you're staying single for fucking ever? You know, it's like you're staying single for fucking ever because you're looking for some rich nigga. I don't know what the fuck you looking for. You know what I'm saying? It's like the number's not there. You got this demeanor, this attitude. It's like, bitch, you're not getting that. You know what I'm saying? It's like this music, social media, black people have fed into social media so hard that they're already separated from reality. Like it's
in this fantasy
insane. Like this isn't reality anymore. You're living for social media, and that is not real. You know, half of the shit is not real. So it's like, come on, bro. It's just trying to get back to reality and get to work, bro.
No, I agree. It's, you know, about being on the grind and wanting something better, right? Wanting to be the factor that, you know what, I want my descendants to not go through what my ancestors did. Or maybe your ancestors built a foundation and you wasted it. No more. You know what I mean? You have to get to a point in your life where you're like, no more, I'm not going to deal with this. But David, I do appreciate you for taking the time to talk to me. Obviously looking fresh. Thank God, you know, I got you the time when you got the cut. You know what I mean? Couldn't do you dirty like that. I do appreciate you for coming on here. It was an honor to have you on here. And guys, God bless. Tune in for more future episodes.